In one of my recent videos, I ended up case swapping a small form factor Dell Optiplex. I like doing these because they don't cost a lot at all, and I'm able to play games at a pretty good FPS. And I'm gonna do it again because I feel like I left a lot of stuff out. So here we go again with another Dell Optiplex small form factor case swap. So taking a closer look, we have 2 sticks of RAM here, 2 4GB sticks totaling 8. And you obviously don't have to do this, but I purchased 2 more sticks so that we could have 16 instead of 8. And a lot of the time these small form factor ones only come with 2 slots. So we're lucky that this one has 4, so that all we have to do is just add 2 more sticks. And as usual, I'm gonna go ahead and tilt this on its side because it makes things so much easier. And to make things simple, we're only gonna need 3 things. This huge CPU cooler, which we're gonna need to replace, the power supply, and maybe this little fan here. Before I actually do anything, let me make sure this thing actually works. Okay, yeah, so it's not exactly booting, but it's actually okay. It says media test failure, which is pretty much the hard drive. It's not able to boot since it doesn't have one in it right now, but it's good. But now we can go ahead and take some sort of screwdriver, and now we can unscrew the CPU cooler, which is just these 4 screws. Unplug it, and then it'll just sort of come off with a little bit of wiggling. Nice. We're gonna have to clean this thermal paste in a little bit though. And by the way, you can actually sell these back on eBay for like $10 maybe. And then all we gotta do is unplug everything. CPU connection. This is the power button connection. And you don't actually need this, you could just use the one that comes with your case. USB 3.0 connection. And then this is like the weird front panel connection. And the motherboard connection. Hopefully that's all of them. Actually, the case fan right here is this one right here. So now I can finally take the actual motherboard out of the case. Oh wait, I'm stupid actually. I obviously have to unscrew it. So let me go ahead and do that. 2, 3, and yeah, it should be like 6 in total. Just as long as we take all of them out so that we're actually able to remove the motherboard. And I'm gonna take the front panel off because for some reason the motherboard is just not coming out. You want to do this like very gently, but this thing is giving me a lot of trouble. I don't know why. After a lot of struggling, this thing is finally out. So we're already running into our first problem here. Do you see how short this motherboard cable is? This thing is not gonna reach. There's just no way. You should replace the power supply regardless. I was just planning on using this one for the video since I don't have another one. But now I'm gonna have to go on Facebook Marketplace and see if somebody would be willing to sell me a power supply today.
Alright, so this one actually didn't take long at all. I contacted this guy I had purchased a PC from like a couple months ago in February, and I asked him if he had any extra power supplies laying around that he'd be willing to get rid of. So we're buying one for $10 right now. Nice little deal, so I'm waiting for him to respond so we can go and pick that up for our build over here.
This thing is actually huge. How am I supposed to fit this on my desk? This is an eATX case, which is like the biggest size you can get. I just can't get over how huge this case is. It's gonna be way bigger than our motherboard. Look at the comparison. Look at all this empty space around the motherboard. Oh my god. I just looked it up and this case is worth over $100 on Newegg. Although for an expensive case, it's so weird how it uses these break-off PCIe brackets that are usually found in the lower end cases. There's space for 2 fans at the top, and you can put 2 fans right here, but I'm not sure. I might add some right here because the motherboard is gonna leave a lot of empty space. Usually I like to use like some sort of box or something so I can put the motherboard on top of it. And now all we've got to do is add the RAM, add the CPU cooler, and then transfer it from here into our case. Luckily, I have a couple of fans from some older builds, but you can buy these for like $10 on eBay, maybe even less. These have 5-pin connectors, which is the same as our motherboard. You could just use a standard cooler, but you'll need an adapter. I'll leave a link in the description down below. You're gonna have to pry these things off or buy one of these CPU cooler brackets separately. If you do buy a new standard CPU cooler, it'll come with one of these brackets. Or hopefully yours comes with one of these fans so that you don't have to worry about all that. Undo the 3M tape. and then just slap this thing on the back of the motherboard. So now we can screw in our CPU cooler. Let me just reapply some thermal paste real quick. Now we can finally screw it onto the motherboard. Let me install the RAM real quick.
So right now I'm on my way to go pick up that power supply, and $10 is such a good steal though. This guy is so cool. Last time I bought the PC from him, he charged me like $40.
I'm just gonna cut this part out because I start yapping for like freaking 5 minutes. Bag secured. This thing is from an older Dell system, but it's gonna do enough for what we need it to do. It has the 24-pin connector, the CPU connector, and the SATA connector. Now that we've got our power supply, we can get back to our build. Typically, I like to undo this back panel here so that I could install my power supply first. So probably in like every case, you're gonna see one of these things, and this is where you screw in a hard drive. These hard drives are so cheap. You can get like a whole terabyte for, I don't know, $20 maybe. This is the exact same thing, just a smaller size, typically found in laptops and stuff. Long story short, this is better than those other two options. You're going to want an SSD if you want to transfer files, open applications, and load things up faster. This is what makes that possible. They're a little bit more expensive, but this is where you want your operating system stored. This thing is a fan hub or fan controller. This is what powers your case fans. You connect it to one of these things in your power supply, and once it's connected, it'll turn on whenever you turn your PC on, and then you can just tuck everything else away in your power supply shroud so it won't be in the way. Usually it's easier to put the case on its side, but I'm not going to do that this time. Just go ahead and line up these motherboard holes with these little standoffs on the case so that we can go ahead and screw it in. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and screw this in. And now that it's finally in the case, all I've got to do is connect the motherboard. This SATA cable is way too short, so I'm just going to leave the SSD right here. Last thing we got to do is add our graphics card, the Radeon Pro WX 2100. This thing is so nice. I used it in my last video, but it's not the same card. I just felt like I had to make that clear. I don't know why. It is a very small graphics card. I should use a bigger one, but I kind of just want to get rid of this, so it's not the end of the world if I use one of these. Go ahead and plop this in. And now all we've got to do is turn on our PC, but in order to do that, we have to connect our power switch, which is the 2 pins on the right for this specific motherboard, and then also our USB 3 cable right here. So now all I've got to do is plug it in, and if your hard drive already has Windows installed in it, then you should load up with no issue. If not, you're going to need a USB drive so that you can install Windows on it and then plug it into your PC. And now you should be able to set up Windows and you're good to go. I'm setting the lights to purple because literally everything else in my setup is set to purple. Not everything is on right now. Usually I have more lights all over the place, but everything's purple.
So we've got the PC here looking nice in our setup. I probably won't end up keeping it. I'm probably just gonna sell it or something for a good price, of course. But yeah, this is a success, honestly. So subscribe and I hope you guys enjoyed. So right now I'm like at a solid 120 FPS. You can put it in slow-mo, normal. Let's try normal right now. Yeah, like I'm just locked at 120 right now. Yeah, I haven't played in a while, so I'm a little rusty, but yeah, like it's stable 120. I'm gonna go ahead and, yeah, it's at 160 now. I really am rusty, so I'm not doing anything too crazy here, but the fact that it's actually just at a stable 160 is so crazy. You know, it's on lower settings, but I still didn't expect it to, you know,